Hello, welcome to Hearth Explained Therapy, and I want to talk about a place that nobody really knows exists. Well, I suppose it's two places in a sense, and in the same way you do know it exists. You felt it in the past, possibly unconsciously, and you're never going to return there based on basically a whole of society brainwashing your mind to say that you don't have to. But it's a place called, I suppose, pain and fear. And I'm talking about real pain and real fear. And I think that most of us, most of the time, we're so very clever at ego defending our actions and ego defending certain experiences that the pain sort of lasts for a short amount of time, and we quite quickly, because we have to move on, we have to kind of get up the next day and kind of go to work, and we can't just sleep in bed for 7 years like we probably really want to when we feel this pain. We kind of just quickly move on, and we put up a lot of ego defences. Now, maybe you don't know the word ego defences. For me, do you know that person where you say something that's very truthful and you touch a nerve and they get very defensive? It happens quite a lot without you really knowing, actually. If you start to look at conversations, when someone snaps and bites, usually you've said something where they believe that they're sort of lower than you, or they believe you're disrespecting them, and there's a complete really illusion that's going on most of the time, unless you are with just a complete and utter bad person. But most of the time, these little snappy, bitey remarks, which normally form an argument, and then an argument passes and you think that the argument was whether you wanted spaghetti bolognese or chili con carne, when the truth is it was actually because one or both of you felt really, really low, felt really shit, and you had this pain triggered for possibly 1 second, and that was enough to make the whole floodgates open. So I want to talk about this place. Now, lots of people talk about it in a spiritual way, and they make out that there's this soul that exists and you have an energy, and I just think when you get lost with all that garbage, you realise that if you believe in that sort of stuff, you're still completely mentally ill. Now, you're already mentally ill unconsciously anyway in life. Why would you then be consciously and make an effort to be even more consciously mentally ill? And you've got to rip yourself away from the expression of souls and spirit and love. Let's just get back down to brass tacks, which is you're a biological human being that has this egoic mind that wants. And if you feel uncomfortable, you have been programmed just to reject it. That feeling of you feeling uncomfortable, you have definitely been programmed, like a computer would be programmed to have certain characters jump around and do certain things. You have been programmed to only want to seek happiness, just to seek happiness and try and stay happy forever. Now, this place actually does genuinely exist. I wouldn't like to call it happiness. I like to call it more of a place where you're content without the need for happiness, and that's getting a little bit too clever, so I'll try not to get too psychological on this, because I think it's an important sort of subject that you need to learn about. You're trying to seek external happiness, and if nothing meets those expectations, you're left feeling empty, this void. And you could say that 99.9% of people have this emptiness most of the time. Even millionaires and celebs and famous people, they can kill themselves, they can not be happy, they can get as many awards as you like, they can still actually be very, very clinically depressed. So why would this actually be a thing? Why would you have all the egoic mind's treats but not be happy? Well, it comes down to that's not really what you're trying to discover. You're trying to discover how you can stop looking for something to feel good. You're trying to feel good whilst looking out from the place where you actually technically already have the feeling of goodness. You have the feeling of anger and the feeling of rage, of course, but you also have that feeling of goodness. And you're not grateful for your life. You're not understanding love and pain and emotion, and you don't really understand probably ego defences. And so even if I was to say that was an ego defence, you'd ego defence the ego defence. And I see that a lot of people now with spirituality and these sort of people who call themselves sort of healers and therapists and this sort of, you know, ideology that's coming out where we can help you fix yourself, everything is okay with you, and we're going to tell you what to do. And it's like, that person hasn't studied themselves enough to be able to do that. The only way you can ever physically help somebody is if you have been to this place that I call pain, or for me, insanity in a sense. So I'm going to tell you about how you can make this bridge to this place where you feel this place that you want. Now, most people call this enlightenment. Let me just tell you, enlightenment doesn't exist. It's not real. There is a place within you that doesn't need any external desires. It doesn't need anything to alter it or change it. It is just constant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really care if you do good or bad. It's just there. It doesn't really care what team you support. It wouldn't react. It's not a reactive substance. It's just a constant flow of contentment, I would say. And you are desperately meditating to find it. You are desperately giving up all that time with friends and family to get this. You are going out of your way for the perfect partner, the perfect Instagram followers, the perfect Facebook selfies, the perfect business. You're looking for this. And what you have already is something that doesn't need this within you. It doesn't need this to feel fulfilled. It already is as much as it can ever be fulfilled. It's so fulfilled, if you try to fulfill it even more, it would just expand or implode on itself, because it's already everything it needs to be. And this is inside you, which is technically you, the you that you've always been. The only difference is you've actually been unconscious that you've been that. You've been conscious that you have been always you. You've been the you 5 years ago that got really angry and annoyed and got the worst pain through your heart you've ever felt. You are you the 10 years ago and 15 years ago and 20. You know that you've always been you, but you've never known that you've always been fulfilled. You've always been a constant substance. You've always been very talented. You've always been very skilled. You've always been this beautiful conscious and unconscious being flowing around in all of the other flowing unconscious and consciousness. And unfortunately, the door that opens this place is soul destroying. I don't really agree with that we have a soul. I don't like to say the soul and the ego and all these things that don't, we can't measure. I don't like to use these, because this is where I feel like people can get confused on what the message actually is. What I'm saying is, get ready to walk into your hell. And by the way, you don't die. Let's just get that one, just get that thing clear. You're not going to die in this place. You're going to expand your mind as long as you don't attach to all the old belief systems, all of the old of basically you. You've tried that for a long time and nothing's worked. You've tried Pilates, you've tried yoga, you've tried Zumba, you've tried the diets, you've tried different partners, you've probably changed sexuality in partners just to give that a whirl, and then it just, you can't find home. And that's because you're looking for it. And it's not an it, it's not a thing, it's you. It's just you. It's you experiencing that. It's you not experiencing that. It's you falling asleep at night and having a dream. It's you waking up never knowing that you are out of that dream. Did you wake up now? Is this just a dream? You are always this. But the door through this place is confronting every one of your made up dreams, made up painful dreams as well. And you've got to let them all go. You've got to forgive a whole lot of people. You've got to understand why everything happened. Now, I've heard people say, and this is what really puts me off spiritual people. I've heard spiritual gurus say that everything that happened to you was meant to be because maybe your flow of the vibration, or maybe you was in the wrong place at the wrong time, or you gave love to the wrong person. I'm sorry, I don't get that crap. That's bullshit. You're telling me if you give complete unconditional love to the wrong person, that's your fault. That you are nice, sensitive, and unconsciously giving unconditional love to someone, and if that person abuses you and destroys you, that's your fault. Because of what? Because you haven't learned alpha male skills, that you have to be more dominant and you have to be more aggressive in a relationship. Or you have to kind of learn that being sensitive and nice isn't a great option, so you've got to change that and be an absolute arsehole, and that will get you everything that you desire and everything that you want. That's the way to live life. I don't believe in this karma crap. The truth is, society has just hid a very beautiful story from you because it doesn't want you to wake up. It has lots of negativities with you waking up in this reality, and this reality through the door of pain will open up to see that you are someone who first of all can just handle emotions. You can be present in the moment and realise you can do anything you want to do, and you have the choice to be the bum, the loser, or you can try. And now you realise that, right, you've got a bit of catching up to do because you haven't got the mindset of a millionaire. You haven't got the mindset of a loving person. You've never been shown unconditional love. You don't know how to actually love and care for somebody or be a family person. You don't have all of these skills and all of these traits because you was never shown them. So how would you know how to paint? How would you know how to sing? How would you know how to act? How would you know all of these things? But there's hope, because this energy, this flow that you always are, and again, I don't want to be too hippie, but there's something inside you that is just biologically sort of organised to cope with all of the shit that happens in front of you. And it is going to be shit, it's going to be suffering, it's going to be painful. The chances of you finding someone with this newfound philosophy and actually being able to give them unconditional love if they've never discovered unconditional love for themselves is very difficult. And also, there's a place where you can actually think that this place is too painful to even go there, and then you won't try. So that's where people say, I can't do that because of my anxiety, or I can't do that because I've got no motivation, or I can't do that because I'm on medication. And the excuses are just endless. I know people that can't even literally do one small positive thing for their well-being. There's no excuse for that. There just isn't. But the 21st century, the labelling of mental health, the naivety of GPs and the naivety of most psychiatrists is that we've just got a pandemic on our hands. The mind is winning the battle and there's nothing we can do about it. Now, other people will submerge themselves in psychedelics as if that's an answer. And what we get with the people who have submerged themselves in psychedelics, they are so far ripped away from this human experience. It hasn't done them any benefits. They've just completely polarised. So this is a mixed match of a video, really, isn't it? I'm trying to explain consciousness to you. I'm trying to explain all the perils and dangers that you haven't even experienced yet, and you probably won't experience for probably in your entire life. But the place that I'm talking about is painful, and when you step through painful, you find peace. This is what we want. We believe we want happiness, but we don't. We actually want contentment. We want sort of, I suppose we want a bit of happiness. We want that feeling of happiness, but I think we get that through being peaceful, liberated, free people, don't we? That's how we get it. I mean, let me tell you this. You want a partner. Let's say you want a partner. If I offered you the dream partner, everything that you view as in a man or a female, everything from the looks to the wealth to the style, and I said the instant that you got that person, you would be miserable. Would you still want it? Of course you wouldn't, because it's the feeling that you're going for. You're going for abstract feelings. When you want that, think about that coat that you want. Think about those flash jazzy gifts that you want. Think about that beer keller, that that. Have you seen that beer keg thing that you can brew your own beer in the kitchen now? It looks very smart, and it just, all these adverts just flash back up. The new car that you want to drive a nice new car. You've seen the Ford Puma, and my God, they look nice, don't they? You want the feeling that you think that it's going to bring, and the feeling will come along for about a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month if you're lucky, but it will go, and the reminder of this painful door will be back again, and you will not be willing to step through it. After this video, it's gone on for 17 minutes now. It's far too long for any video, and if you've managed to get through this, fair play. Comment below your thoughts, if anything came up, maybe ways that I can improve expressing this turmoil that's in my own head. But what I'd like to say is I'm going to do a part 2 on this, because I'm going to tell you about the secret door of pain and insanity if you're willing to listen.